The great crystal dome of Valdris Prime sparkled against the twin suns like a jewel floating in space. Inside this magnificent structure, representatives from 12 different alien species gathered for their monthly council meeting. The air hummed with translation devices and the soft whispers of diplomatic conversations. Ambassador Thalvix of the Sethri Empire stood tall at his designated podium. His blue-scaled skin gleamed under the artificial lights as he reviewed the ancient datapad in his clawed hands. The topic of discussion today was territorial expansion rights in the Outer Rim systems. It was supposed to be a routine meeting until someone mentioned the old records. "These documents are clearly outdated," Thalvex declared, his voice carrying across the chamber. "They reference a species called humans that supposedly controlled vast territories in this sector. Obviously, these are just legends or perhaps errors in our historical databases." Council leader Morden, a tall insectoid creature with compound eyes, clicked his mandibles in agreement. "The Setheri representative makes a valid point. Our surveys of these systems show no signs of advanced civilization. If these humans ever existed, they are certainly extinct now." The other council members nodded in agreement. The galaxy had been peaceful for over 3 centuries. Trade routes were established, borders were respected, and the old stories of fierce warrior races seemed like nothing more than ancient myths designed to frighten children. Meanwhile, thousands of light years away on the remote mining colony of Kepler 438b, Commander Li Jinho stood in the observation deck of the underground facility. The red dwarf star cast an eerie glow across the rocky landscape above. But down here, 300 meters below the surface, humanity had built something remarkable. Jinho was a man in his 50s with graying hair and steady brown eyes. He wore the simple blue uniform of the Colonial Defense Force, an organization that officially did not exist according to Galactic records. His hands rested on the metal railing as he watched the bustling activity in the main cavern below. "Commander, the quantum array is ready for testing," said Dr. Park Moran as she approached from behind. She was a brilliant scientist in her 40s, with short black hair and an excited gleam in her eyes. For 15 years, she had worked on this project, and today would determine if humanity could finally reach out to their scattered brothers and sisters across the galaxy. "Are you certain it will work?" Jinho asked, turning to face her. "If we send out a signal and someone intercepts it, our location could be compromised. The encryption is based on mathematical principles that only humans developed," Moran explained. "Even if someone intercepts the signal, they will think it is just random cosmic noise. But our other colonies will recognize the pattern immediately." Jinho nodded slowly. 300 years ago, when the Great War ended, humanity had scattered to the winds. Some said they were defeated, others claimed they were extinct. The truth was far more complex. Humanity had simply chosen to disappear, to let the galaxy forget they ever existed while they rebuilt in secret. "Begin the transmission," Jinho ordered. Dr. Moran activated the quantum communication array. Deep beneath the colony, massive crystals began to resonate with energy. The signal shot out across space, invisible to conventional sensors, but clear as day to anyone who knew how to look for it. The response came faster than anyone expected. Within hours, coded messages began arriving from dozens of star systems. Hidden colonies on asteroid bases, underground cities on barren worlds, and even a few disguised as ordinary trade stations. The network was vast, far larger than anyone had imagined. Kim Taeyeon, the colony's chief military strategist, burst into the command center with a datapad clutched in his hands. He was a young man in his 30s, with sharp features and intense eyes. "Commander, you need to see this," he said breathlessly. "What is it?" Jinho asked. "The response count. We have confirmed contact with 47 different human settlements. The combined population is over 200 million people, and that's just the ones who responded in the first wave. When they had gone into hiding 3 centuries ago, the human population had been scattered and broken, and he assumed that most of the hidden colonies had failed or been discovered. But instead, humanity had grown stronger in the shadows. "There's more," Taeyeon continued. "Some of these colonies have been developing technology that surpasses anything the current galactic powers possess. The New Busan colony has a fleet of over 500 ships. The Kepler 622 system has developed quantum shielding that makes their installations completely invisible to sensors. Dr. Moran pulled up a holographic display showing the galactic map. Red dots appeared one by one, marking the location of each confirmed human settlement. The pattern was clear and strategic. Humanity had positioned themselves at key points throughout the galaxy, creating a network that could support each other while remaining hidden from the major powers. "This changes everything," Jinho said quietly. "We're not just survivors anymore. We're a hidden civilization that has been growing right under their noses." "What do we do now?" Ron asked. Ginho looked at the star map for a long moment. 3 centuries of hiding had made humanity strong, but it had also made them careful. The galaxy had moved on without them, creating new alliances and new conflicts. The question was whether humanity was ready to step back into the light. "Need to make contact with the other colony leaders," he decided. "It's time to discuss Operation Homecoming." Kim Taeyeon raised an eyebrow. "Operation Homecoming?" "A coordinated revelation of humanity's survival. If we're going to announce our return to galactic civilization, we need to do it right. No more hiding, no more pretending to be extinct. The galaxy is about to learn that humans are very much alive." As the 3 stood in the command center, watching the responses continue to pour in from across the galaxy, none of them could have imagined the shockwaves their decision would soon send through the established order. The Galactic Council was about to discover that their ancient legends were about to become their new reality. Back on Valdris Prime, Ambassador Thalvex finished his presentation on territorial expansion, completely unaware that the species he had just dismissed as mythical was planning their return to the galactic stage. The quiet hum of the council chamber continued, but change was coming whether they were ready for it or not. The massive cargo ship Stellar Fortune drifted through the empty void of space, its captain staring at the sensor readings with growing confusion. For the 3rd time this month, his instruments had detected something that should not exist. Brief contact, lasting only seconds. Before vanishing without a trace, Captain Veltar of the Delthon Trading Guild scratched his scaled head with a clawed finger. His yellow eyes narrowed as he studied the data. The sensor contact had been large, possibly the size of a military cruiser, but it had appeared and disappeared faster than any known technology could achieve. "Must be sensor ghosts again," muttered his first officer, a young Delthan named Crystal. "These old ships have problems with their detection systems," but Captain Veltar was not convinced. He had been flying cargo ships for over 40 years, and he knew the difference between equipment failure and something real. This was the 5th report this month from different ships in different sectors, all describing the same phenomenon: brief sensor contacts that vanished before any visual confirmation could be made, light years away. In the intelligence headquarters of the Vorthok hegemony, Director Kreshtal stood before a holographic display, showing dozens of similar reports. His insectoid features twisted with concern as he reviewed the data. The Vorthok were known throughout the galaxy for their information-gathering abilities, and these strange reports were beginning to form a pattern. "The frequency is increasing," reported his aide, a smaller Vorthok named Jekaron. "We now have over 200 confirmed reports of unexplained sensor contacts across 17 different star systems." Director Kreshtal clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. "Have we identified any common factors?" "All reports come from remote areas, usually near asteroid fields or nebulae. The contacts appear briefly on sensors but never on visual scans. Captains assume it is equipment malfunction." "But you do not think so," Kreshtal observed. "No, Director. The pattern is too consistent. Someone is out there, and they do not want to be seen." Meanwhile, on the hidden human colony world of New Busan, Admiral Choi Hyun-woo stood in the command center of the most advanced military facility the galaxy had never seen. The underground base stretched 4 kilometers beneath the surface of the small moon, housing a fleet that would make the combined navies of the major powers look like toys. Hyun-woo was a tall man in his late 50s, with silver hair and sharp brown eyes. He wore the black uniform of the human colonial fleet, decorated with symbols that no alien had seen for 3 centuries. Around him, dozens of technicians worked at control stations, monitoring the movements of human ships throughout the galaxy.
Admiral.
We have another close encounter report, announced Lieutenant Song Juan. It's a young engineer with bright eyes and quick fingers. The reconnaissance ship Silent Wind was detected by a Delthon cargo vessel in the Kepler 442 system. How long was the contact? Hyunwoo asked. 3.7 seconds. Well, within acceptable parameters. The cargo ship will assume it was a sensor malfunction. Hyunwoo nodded. For months, human ships had been conducting reconnaissance missions throughout the galaxy, gathering intelligence on the current state of galactic civilization. The stealth technology developed during their centuries of hiding was far superior to anything the major powers possessed. But occasionally, their ships were detected for brief moments. Any response from the aliens? He asked. The Vorthok intelligence. Services are beginning to investigate, but they have no idea what they are looking for. As far as they know, no species possesses the technology to appear and disappear so quickly. Engineer Song Giwan brought up a holographic display showing the massive ship construction facility. The space was filled with vessels of various sizes, all bearing the distinctive angular design of human military architecture. The largest ship, still under construction, dwarfed everything else in the facility. The Terra's Dawn will be ready for launch in 6 weeks, Jiwan reported. All primary systems are online, and the new quantum drive has passed every test. She will be the most advanced warship ever built. Admiral Hinwoo studied the massive vessel with pride. The Terra's Dawn was more than just a warship, a symbol of humanity's return to power. Every piece of technology incorporated into her design represented centuries of innovation and determination. What about the other colony fleets? He asked. New Seoul reports 37 ships ready for deployment. The Kepler 442 shipyards have completed their first batch of stealth cruisers. Colony Taijin has finished construction on their carrier groups. In total, we will have over 10,000 ships ready for Operation Homecoming. The Admiral felt a surge of pride and anticipation. When humanity had gone into hiding, they had possessed only a few hundred ships. Now, after 3 centuries of secret construction, they commanded a fleet that could challenge the entire galaxy. On the research levels below, Dr. Yoon Sulji worked tirelessly in her laboratory, surrounded by intercepted alien communications and cultural studies. She was a brilliant xenobiologist in her 40s with keen eyes and an analytical mind. Her job was to understand how the galaxy had changed during humanity's absence. The current galactic powers have grown weak, she reported to Admiral Hinwoo. During their weekly briefing, their military technology has barely advanced in 2 centuries. They rely on bureaucracy and treaties rather than innovation and strength. What about their unity? Hyunwoo asked. Fragile at best. The Sithari Empire and the Vorthok hegemony are constantly competing for influence. The smaller species are caught in the middle, trying to maintain their independence. There is no real leadership or common purpose. Dr. Sulji brought up a display showing the political structure of the current Galactic Council. The web of alliances and rivalries was complex and unstable, held together more by fear of change than by any genuine cooperation. They have forgotten what real conflict looks like, she continued. The last major war ended before most of their current leaders were born. They think diplomacy and trade agreements can solve any problem. And they are about to learn otherwise, Hyunwoo said grimly. Back in Vorthok space, Director Kreshtal was reaching the same conclusion through different means. The pattern of sensor contacts was too sophisticated to be random. Someone was conducting systematic surveillance of galactic shipping lanes and military installations. Issue a classified alert to all member species, he ordered. Someone is watching us, and they possess technology we do not understand. We need to be prepared for anything. As the order went out across the galaxy, neither the Vorthok intelligence services nor the other major powers realized they were already 3 centuries too late. The Watchers in the Shadows were not unknown aliens or hostile invaders. They were the return of an old enemy that everyone had assumed was safely buried in the past. The ghosts in the machine were not ghosts at all. They were the advanced scouts of humanity's return, and the galaxy was about to discover that some legends never truly die. The distress signal pierced through the darkness of space like a cry for help. Captain Nam Wujin of the human reconnaissance ship. Silent Hunter received the transmission while conducting routine patrol near the Altair system. His brown eyes studied the display screen as the translation programs worked to decode the alien message. "Captain, it's a Delthan merchant vessel under attack by pirates," reported his communications officer, Ensign Park Sehan. "They're requesting immediate assistance." Nam Wujin was a man in his early 40s with a calm demeanor and steady hands. He had spent the last 10 years commanding stealth missions for the human colonial fleet, always staying hidden, always watching from the shadows. But this was different. Innocent lives were at stake. "How many pirate ships?" he asked. "3 light cruisers. The merchant vessel is badly damaged and losing life support." The captain made his decision quickly, to cloak the ship and prepare for combat. "We cannot let civilians die while we hide in the shadows." The Silent Hunter shimmered into visibility as its quantum cloaking field deactivated. The sleek human warship was unlike anything currently flying in galactic space. Its angular design and dark hull plating gave it a predatory appearance that struck fear into the hearts of those who saw it. The pirate ships were in the middle of boarding the crippled merchant vessel when the Silent Hunter appeared on their sensors. The human ship moved with incredible speed and precision, its weapons systems far more advanced than anything the pirates had ever encountered. "Unknown vessel, identify yourself," demanded the pirate leader over the communication channel. "This is our salvage operation. Move along or face the consequences." Captain Nam Wujin's response was swift and decisive. Silent Hunter's pulse. Cannons fired with deadly accuracy, disabling the pirate ships without destroying them. The engagement lasted less than 3 minutes, leaving the pirates floating helplessly in space while the merchant vessel's crew watched in amazement. "This is Captain Nam Wujin of the vessel Silent Hunter," he announced over the open channel. "The pirate threat has been neutralized. Do you require medical assistance?" The response from the merchant ship was filled with confusion and disbelief. Captain Veltar, the same Delthon who had reported sensor ghosts weeks earlier, could barely speak. "Your ship design, your technology, ... What species are you?" "We are human," Nam Wujin replied simply, "and we have been watching." The news of the encounter spread through underground channels faster than anyone could have imagined. Within hours, reports of the mysterious human rescue reached intelligence networks across the galaxy. The Vorthok intelligence services immediately classified the information as top secret. But rumors had already begun to spread. On the hidden colony world of New Sol, President Kong Minju stood before the assembled leaders of the Human Colonial Federation. She was a woman in her 50s with gray hair and piercing eyes that had seen the rise and fall of civilizations. Around the massive conference table sat representatives from 47 different human settlements. Communication links. "The time for hiding is over," she announced to the gathering. "Captain Nam Wujin's rescue operation has revealed our existence to the galaxy. We must now decide how to proceed." The holographic images of colony leaders flickered as they debated the implications. Commander Li Jinho from Kepler 438b was the first to speak. "The rescue was the right thing to do, but it has accelerated our timeline. We need to implement Operation Homecoming immediately. Are we truly ready?" asked Admiral Choi Hoon-wo from New Busan. "Our fleet is powerful, but revealing ourselves means abandoning the advantage of surprise." President Kang Minju activated a holographic display showing the current state of human military preparation. The numbers were staggering. Over 10,000 ships of various classes, 200 million people across dozens of worlds, and technology that surpassed anything the galactic powers possessed. "We are as ready as we will ever be," she declared. "The question is not whether we can reveal ourselves, but how we choose to do it. Do we appear as supplicants begging for acceptance, or as equals demanding respect?" The debate that followed lasted for hours. Some leaders argued for a gradual revelation, making contact with friendly species first. Others pushed for a dramatic demonstration of power that would establish humanity's position immediately. But in the end, the decision was unanimous. "We will reveal ourselves simultaneously across the galaxy," President Kang Minju announced. "Every major galactic hub, every important trade route, every seat of power, it will not be able to ignore us or treat us as a curiosity." Meanwhile, on Valdris Prime, Ambassador Thalvex was having the worst day of his diplomatic career. The reports reaching his office painted a picture that challenged everything he thought he knew about galactic history. The rescue of the Delthon merchant vessel had been confirmed by multiple sources, and the implications were staggering. "Sir, we have received additional intelligence from the Vorthok," reported his aide, a young Sathari named Zekmal. "They believe the humans have been conducting surveillance operations throughout the galaxy for months." Thalvex felt his scaled skin grow cold. He remembered his confident dismissal of human legends just weeks earlier. Now those legends were proving to be very real and very dangerous. His claws clicked nervously against his desk as he reviewed the ancient archives. The historical records were fragmentary, but what they revealed was troubling. Humans had not been just another species in the old galactic order. They had been warriors, innovators, and survivors who consistently defied the odds. Every major conflict in recorded history had involved humans in some way, and they had usually emerged victorious despite being outnumbered. "What do we know about their current capabilities?" he asked. "Very little, sir. The ship that rescued the Delthan vessel used technology we cannot identify. Its speed and firepower exceeded anything in our current military inventory." Thalvex stood and walked to the window overlooking the crystal city of Valdris Prime. The peaceful scene below represented 3 centuries of galactic stability. Trade flowed freely, conflicts were resolved through diplomacy, and the major powers maintained a careful balance of influence. Now, that balance was about to be shattered by the return of a species that everyone had assumed was safely extinct. The humans were not just alive. They were technologically superior and apparently well organized. The galaxy had grown comfortable in their absence, but comfort was a luxury they could no longer afford. "Issue a priority alert to all Sathari military commanders," he ordered. "We may be facing a threat unlike anything we have encountered in centuries." As the orders went out across Sathari space, similar preparations were being made by other galactic powers. The Vorthok hegemony was mobilizing their intelligence networks, while the smaller species were desperately trying to understand what the return of humanity meant for their survival. None of them realized that their preparations were already too late. The humans had spent 3 centuries planning for this moment, and they were about to demonstrate that some species become more dangerous when they are forced to adapt and evolve in the shadows. The gathering storm was about to break, and the galaxy would never be the same. The morning session of the Galactic Council began like any other day. Representatives from 12 different species took their seats in the great crystal dome of Valdris Prime, discussing trade agreements and border disputes with the casual boredom of routine diplomacy. Council Leader Morden was reviewing agricultural quotas when the first alarm sounded. "Council Leader, we have multiple contacts on long-range sensors," announced the facility's defense coordinator, her voice tight with barely controlled panic. Large formations approaching from multiple vectors. Morden's compound eyes focused on the main display screen as it flickered to life. What he saw made his insectoid heart skip several beats. Dozens of ships were approaching Valdris Prime, their sleek designs unlike anything in the current galactic registry. But these were not the ships that made him afraid. "Increase sensor range to maximum," he ordered, his voice cracking slightly. The display expanded, and the truth became clear. The approaching formations were not dozens of ships. They were thousands. Over 10,000 vessels hung in space around Valdris's Prime, having appeared as if from nowhere. Their dark hulls gleamed in the light of the system's star, and their angular designs spoke of advanced technology and military purpose. Ambassador Thalvex stood frozen at his diplomatic station, his blue scales pale with shock. Just weeks ago, he had dismissed humans as ancient legends. Now he was staring at the largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history, and every instinct told him exactly who they were. "Incoming transmission," announced the communications officer, her voice barely a whisper. They are requesting permission to address the council. Permission granted, Morden managed to say. The main display shifted to show the bridge of the massive flagship that dominated the human fleet. Admiral Choi Hyun-woo stood at the center of the command deck, wearing the black uniform of the human colonial fleet. His silver hair was perfectly groomed, and his brown eyes held the calm confidence of someone who had planned this moment for years. Honored representatives of the Galactic Council, he began, his voice carrying clearly through the translation systems. I am Admiral Choi Hyun-woo of the human colonial fleet. We come in peace, but we come as equals. The silence in the council chamber was deafening. Several representatives had fallen back into their seats while others stood with their mouths open in shock. The myths and legends had become reality, and that reality was armed with the most advanced fleet any of them I'd ever seen. 300 years ago, humanity chose to step away from galactic politics, Admiral Hyun-woo continued. We were not defeated, and we were not destroyed. We simply decided to let the galaxy believe we were gone while we rebuilt our civilization. In the shadows, on the bridge of the Terra's dawn, Dr. Park Moran monitored the quantum communication arrays that connected the flagship to human fleets across the galaxy. Her scientific instruments showed that the coordinated revelation was proceeding exactly as planned. 47 different star systems were experiencing the same shock as Valdris Prime. Admiral, all fleets report successful deployment, she announced. The Kepler 442 formation has surrounded the Vorthok homeworld. The New Sol battle group is in position around the Setheri capital system. Every major galactic power is now aware of our return. Admiral Hunu nodded without taking his eyes off the council chamber display. Excellent. Begin the demonstration. On the command deck, Engineer Song Ji-won activated the fleet's advanced sensor systems. The human ships began broadcasting detailed scans of every vessel and installation in the Valdris system. The message was clear. Not only could humanity appear anywhere in the galaxy without warning, but they could also analyze and catalog every defensive position with ease. Your current military technology is approximately 200 years behind our capabilities, Admiral Hyun-woo explained to the stunned council. Your weapons cannot penetrate our shields, your sensors cannot track our stealth systems, and your fastest ships cannot match our slowest escorts. In the council chamber, Ambassador Thalvex found his voice at last. What do you want from us? He asked, his words carrying the weight of genuine fear. We want recognition, the Admiral replied. We want our rightful place in galactic civilization. We want the same trade rights, territorial claims, and diplomatic status that you grant to each other. We do not want war, but we will not be dismissed or ignored. The demonstration continued as human ships throughout the galaxy began revealing their technological superiority. Quantum shields flickered to life around the massive vessels, creating energy barriers that made them nearly invulnerable. Stealth fields activated and deactivated, showing how easily the human fleet could appear and disappear at will. President Kung Minju's voice joined the transmission from the Colonial Federation headquarters. The Human Colonial Federation represents over 200 million people across dozens of worlds. We have been watching the galaxy for 3 centuries, studying your politics, your conflicts, and your weaknesses. We know about the territorial disputes between the Setheri Empire and the Vorthok hegemony, she continued. We know about the trade wars affecting the smaller species. We know about the corruption in your bureaucracies and the stagnation in your military development. The accusations hit their targets with devastating accuracy. The galactic powers had indeed grown complacent during humanity's absence, more concerned with maintaining the status quo than with innovation or progress. Their military forces were designed for peacekeeping rather than real warfare, and their intelligence services had failed to detect the greatest threat in galactic history. But we also know about your potential, President Kung Minju added, her tone softening slightly. The galaxy has maintained peace for 3 centuries. Trade has flourished, and most species have prospered. These are achievements worth preserving. Dr. Yoon Sulji's cultural analysis had been crucial in crafting this message. The humans were demonstrating overwhelming power while simultaneously offering hope for cooperation. It was a delicate balance designed to minimize resistance while maximizing respect. "We propose a new galactic order," Admiral Hunhua announced. "One that includes humanity as a major power, with all the rights and responsibilities that entails. We are willing to share our technological advances and our knowledge, but only with those who accept us as equals." The demonstration reached its climax as the human fleet performed a synchronized maneuver that no other species could match. 10,000 ships moved in perfect coordination, or quantum drives creating a light show that could be seen from the surface of every world. "In the system, you have 24 hours to consider our proposal," Admiral Hunhua concluded. "We will remain in position until you are ready to negotiate the terms of our return to galactic civilization." The transmission ended, leaving the council chamber. In stunned silence, the representatives sat in their seats trying to process what they had just witnessed. The balance of power in the galaxy had just shifted dramatically. Everyone knew that the old ways of doing business were over. "Ambassador." Thalvex stared at the display showing the human fleet, his mind racing with the implications. The species he had dismissed as legends had just announced their return with the most powerful demonstration of force in galactic history. The question now was whether the established powers would accept the new reality or try to fight against it. Outside the Crystal Dome, the human fleet waited patiently in the darkness of space. They had spent 3 centuries preparing for this moment, and they were ready for whatever response the galaxy chose to give them. The day the stars stood still had begun, and nothing would ever be the same again. The emergency session of the Sithari High Command convened within hours of humanity's dramatic revelation. War Master Velthak paced across the marble floor of the command center, his blue scales darkened with rage. Around the circular table sat the Empire's most senior military officers, their faces reflecting the same mixture of fear and anger that gripped their leader. 10,000 ships appeared from nowhere, Velthak snarled, his claws scraping against the stone surface. Our entire border defense network detected nothing until they chose to reveal themselves. This is not just a military threat. This is a complete intelligence failure. General Korthmel, a veteran officer with scars from old campaigns, studied the tactical displays with growing concern. The human fleet positions are strategically perfect. They have surrounded our most important systems while maintaining clear escape routes. This level of coordination suggests planning that spans decades or centuries, added Intelligence Director Nelvin, her voice quiet but filled with dread. Our analysis of their ship designs shows technology that has evolved far beyond anything we possess. They did not just survive their exile, they thrived. War Master Velthak slammed his fist against the table. Then we strike before they can establish permanent positions. Order the first fleet to engage the human forces in the Altair system. We will test their capabilities in battle. Meanwhile, on the peaceful world of Altonia Prime, Chancellor Rasay of the Altonian Republic was reaching a very different conclusion. She stood in her garden sanctuary, watching the recorded images of the human fleet demonstration on a portable display. Her species had always valued wisdom over warfare, and what she saw impressed rather than frightened her. Their message was clear, she said to her chief advisor, Counselor Mintel. They seek recognition and cooperation, not conquest. The humans could have attacked without warning, but instead, they chose diplomacy backed by strength. The other powers will not see it that way, Mintel warned. The Sithari are already mobilizing their fleets. The Vorthok are recalling their deep space forces. Fear is driving them toward conflict. Chancellor Rasa nodded sadly, and we must choose sides carefully. The humans have demonstrated that. They are the strongest military power in the galaxy. But more importantly, they have shown restraint when they could have shown aggression. On the human flagship Terra's Dawn, Captain Li Sujin prepared for the most important diplomatic mission in centuries. She was a woman in her 40s with intelligent eyes and the calm bearing of someone trained in both military tactics and cultural negotiation. Her mission was to establish formal contact with the moderate alien factions while the galaxy processed humanity's return. Captain, we have received positive responses from the Altonian Republic and 3 minor species reported. Her communications officer, Lieutenant O'Day Sung, He was a young man with quick fingers and an excellent grasp of alien languages. They are requesting immediate diplomatic talks. What about the major powers? Captain Lee Sujin asked. The Sethari Empire has declared a state of military alert. The Vorthok hegemony is demanding an emergency session of the Security Council. The smaller empires are split between fear and curiosity. Cultural specialist Han Yuzhen joined the conversation, carrying datapads filled with analysis of alien political structures. She was a brilliant woman in her 30s who had spent years studying intercepted alien communications. The galaxy is dividing exactly as we predicted. The aggressive powers see us as a threat to be eliminated. The peaceful species see us as potential allies. Captain Lee Sujin reviewed the diplomatic protocols that had been developed over decades of preparation. Signal the Altonian Republic that we accept their invitation for talks. Also contact the Delphin Trading Guild and the Minarian Collective. We need to build a coalition of moderate voices before the Warhawks gain control. The diplomatic shuttle departed from the Terra's Dawn several hours later, sleek design and advanced shielding allowing it to pass safely through the tense space around Valdris Prime. The human diplomatic team wore formal uniforms that displayed both military competence and peaceful intentions. But while diplomacy proceeded on one front, intelligence operative Shin Hyok was uncovering a much darker plot. He had spent years infiltrating alien criminal networks. His contacts were now reporting disturbing information about a secret alliance forming against humanity. Shin Hyok was a man in his late 30s with sharp features and the ability to blend into any crowd. He worked from a hidden base in the asteroid belt of the Proxima system, coordinating intelligence operations across multiple sectors. His latest discovery sent chills through the human command structure. Admiral, we have confirmed intelligence of a conspiracy, he reported to Admiral Choi Hoon-woo via encrypted quantum link. Representatives from the Sethari Empire, the Vorthok hegemony, and 4 smaller powers have been meeting in secret. They are planning coordinated strikes against our colony worlds. Admiral Hoon-woo felt his blood run cold. What is their target? Multiple simultaneous attacks on our most important settlements, New Busan, New Seoul, the Kepler 442 research station, and 6 other colonies. The plan is to cripple our infrastructure before we can fully establish our position in galactic politics. When do they plan to strike? Within 48 hours? They believe that destroying our hidden colonies will force our fleet to withdraw and seek terms. The Admiral immediately called an emergency meeting of the human command staff. The revelation of the conspiracy changed everything. What had begun as a diplomatic return to galactic civilization was about to become a test of humanity's resolve and military capabilities. They do not understand what they are dealing with, Admiral Hyun-woo said grimly as he addressed his senior officers. These colonies are not just our homes. They are the result of 3 centuries of determination and sacrifice. We will not allow them to be destroyed by species who grew comfortable in our absence. Intelligence reports continued to flow in from Shin Hyok's network. The conspiracy involved more than just military action. Economic warfare was planned to cut off human access to galactic trade routes. Political pressure would be applied too. Prevent recognition of human territorial claims. The goal was to force humanity back into exile or destroy them entirely. Sir, we have intercepted communications about the attack plan, reported Dr. Park Moran from her position at the intelligence station. The conspirators believe that our technology advantage is limited to our fleet. They think our colonies are vulnerable to conventional attack, and then they are about to learn how wrong they are, Admiral Hinwat replied. Signal all colony commanders to activate their defensive systems. Call our deep reconnaissance units to guard positions. Prepare the fleet for combat operations. Captain Lee Sujin's diplomatic mission was proceeding well with the moderate species. But the news of the conspiracy cast a dark shadow over the talks. The galaxy was about to see whether humanity had truly learned the lessons of their exile, or whether they would repeat the conflicts of the past. The choice was no longer humanity's to make. The conspiracy had been set in motion, and the galaxy would soon discover that some species become far more dangerous. When they are forced to defend what they have built in the shadows, war was coming. And this time, the galaxy would see what 3 centuries of innovation and determination had created. The reckoning was about to begin. The coordinated attack began at exactly 0800 Galactic Standard Time. Sethari battle fleets dropped out of hyperspace near the human colony of New Sol, expecting to find a defenseless settlement ripe for destruction. Instead, War Master Velthok found himself staring at the most sophisticated planetary defense network ever constructed. "Sir, we are detecting massive energy signatures from the planet's surface," reported his tactical officer, his voice tight with disbelief. "The entire colony is protected by quantum shield generators. Our weapons cannot penetrate their defenses." Thick watched in growing horror as hidden defense platforms emerged from the asteroid field around New Sol. Each platform was equipped with weapons technology that made his own fleet look primitive by comparison. The humans had not just hidden their colonies during 3 centuries of exile. They had turned them into fortresses. "Open fire on the defense platforms," he ordered desperately. The Sethari weapons struck the human defenses like raindrops hitting a mountain. The quantum shields absorbed the energy without even flickering. In response, the human defense platforms fired a single, coordinated volley that disabled half the attacking fleet without destroying a single ship. Similar scenes were playing out across the galaxy as the conspiracy's attack plan fell apart completely. The Vorthok assault on the Kepler 442 research station met with invisible defensive fields that made the facility completely untouchable. The smaller powers found their fleets outmaneuvered by human ships that appeared and disappeared at will. The bridge of the Terra's Dawn, Admiral Choi Hunhua, monitored the failed attacks with grim satisfaction. The intelligence provided by Shin Hyok had allowed humanity to prepare for every aspect of the conspiracy's plan.
But more importantly,
the attacks had revealed the true nature of the galactic powers to everyone watching. "Admiral, we have intercepted communications between the attacking fleets," reported Dr. Park Moran. "They are transmitting detailed scans of our defensive capabilities to their home governments. The galaxy is seeing the full extent of our technological advancement." "Good," Admiral Hinhua replied. "Let them understand exactly what 3 centuries of innovation has created. Signal all human forces to maintain defensive positions only. We will not fire the first shot in anger." The restraint shown by human forces shocked observers throughout the galaxy. Despite possessing overwhelming technological superiority, humanity chose to disable rather than destroy the attacking fleets. The message was clear. They could have eliminated their enemies completely, but chose mercy instead. Captain Li Sujin's diplomatic mission took on new urgency as news of the failed attacks spread. She found herself addressing an emergency session of moderate species leaders on the neutral world of Haven Station. The audience included representatives from 17 different civilizations, all trying to understand the implications of what they had witnessed. "The attack on our colonies was unprovoked aggression," she explained to the assembly. "Yet our response was measured and defensive. We could have destroyed every ship in those fleets, but we chose to spare the lives of those who sought to destroy us." Chancellor Ryza of the Altonian Republic stood to address the gathering. "The humans have demonstrated both overwhelming power and remarkable restraint. They represent exactly the kind of leadership the galaxy needs in these troubled times." The tide of galactic opinion was turning. Species that had initially feared humanity's return began to see them as protectors rather than conquerors. The moderate coalition grew stronger with each passing hour, as more civilizations chose diplomacy over warfare. Intelligence. Operative Shin Hyok continued to monitor the conspiracy's communications from his hidden base. What he discovered next sent shockwaves through the human command structure. The failed military attacks were only the beginning of a much larger plan. "Admiral, the conspiracy has activated sleeper agents throughout the galactic communication networks," reported via secure channel. "They are planning to spread false information about human intentions, claiming that we are preparing to conquer the galaxy. Can you stop the disinformation campaign?" Admiral Hyun asked. "Already handled, sir. Our intelligence networks have been tracking these agents for months. We know who they are, where they operate, and what they plan to transmit. The false information will be countered before it can spread. The efficiency of human intelligence operations stunned even their own leadership. 3 centuries of careful observation had given humanity an understanding of galactic politics that surpassed anything the established powers possessed. Every move by the conspiracy had been anticipated and countered. President Kong Minju made the decisive announcement from the Colonial Federation headquarters. Her words were transmitted simultaneously to every major world in the galaxy, reaching billions of sentient beings across hundreds of star systems. The recent attacks on human colonies have demonstrated the aggressive nature of certain galactic powers. She began, her voice carrying the authority of someone who spoke for 200 million people. However, they have also revealed the peaceful intentions of many others. The holographic display behind her showed the current political alignment of the galaxy. Green markers indicated species that supported human integration. Red markers showed those still committed to the conspiracy. Yellow markers represented the undecided majority. We propose the formation of a new galactic alliance based on cooperation rather than competition, President Kong Minju continued. An alliance that includes all species willing to work together for peace and prosperity. The Galactic Cooperation Accord will replace the old council system with something more representative and effective. The proposal was revolutionary. Instead of the traditional council where major powers dominated smaller species, the new system would give every civilization an equal voice in galactic affairs. Human technology and resources would be shared freely with alliance members, while those who chose aggression would find themselves isolated. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Within hours, over 30 species had requested membership. In the proposed alliance, the moderate coalition became a majority. The conspiracy found itself politically isolated. Ambassador Thalvex sat in his office on Valdris Prime, staring at the resignation letter he had just written. The Setheri Empire's aggressive response to humanity's return had cost them everything. Their fleet was crippled, their allies had abandoned them, their economy was collapsing under the weight of failed military spending. A soft chime announced an incoming communication. To his surprise, the caller was Admiral Choi Hun-wo himself. The human leader appeared on the display with the same calm dignity he had shown during the initial revelation. Ambassador Thalvex, I understand that your government is reconsidering its position regarding human integration into galactic society, the Admiral said diplomatically. The Setheri Empire wishes to discuss terms for joining the Galactic Cooperation Accord, Thalvex replied, his pride wounded, but his wisdom intact. We have learned that cooperation serves us better than conflict. 6 months later, the signing ceremony for the Valdris Accords took place in the same crystal dome where humanity had first revealed their return. Representatives from 43 different species gathered to witness the birth of a new galactic order. President Kong Minju established the first human embassy on Valdris Prime, its elegant design incorporating both human architecture and alien aesthetic elements. The building stood as a symbol of the cooperation that was now possible between different civilizations. Dr. Yoon Sulji began her new role as director of the Galactic Research Initiative, coordinating scientific projects between human and alien researchers. The sharing of knowledge and technology promised advances that would benefit every species in the alliance. The final scene took place in a small restaurant on Valdris Prime, where Ambassador Thalvex shared a meal with Captain Nam Woojin. The former enemies had become unlikely friends, united by their mutual respect for survival and adaptation. I owe you an apology, Thalvex said as they finished their meal. I dismissed humans as ancient legends when you were actually the future. Of galactic civilization, Captain Nam Woojin smiled warmly. Legends exist for a reason, Ambassador. They remind us that the impossible is just something that has not happened yet. Humanity learned that during our exile, and now the galaxy can learn it too. As the twin suns set over Valdris Prime, the new dawn of galactic cooperation began. Humanity had returned not as conquerors, but as teachers, showing that strength without wisdom was useless, and that true power came from unity rather than dominance. The galaxy would never be the same, and for the first time in centuries, that was something to celebrate rather than fear.